Hey guys, Mr. T here, another video. This one is all about the purpose of finding the measures of center and also choosing the appropriate measure of center. So, the first part of this isn't actually in your book, but I just wanted to explain why it would be useful to find the mean, median, or the mode when the raw data is there. What's the purpose of all this? You've seen how to find them, and you're doing them because they're on your timeline, but why would they be useful? Because you're going to need to apply that and think about those things in your DI. So firstly, the whole purpose of measuring the center of the dataset is to summarize the whole dataset with one number. And the purpose of that is so that you can compare different datasets quickly and easily with just the one number instead of all 100 or so of them, okay? So for example, would you be able to quickly and easily compare the scoring performance of a couple of basketball teams below and decide which is better? Okay, so if you saw this data on the scores of a basketball team, could you easily tell which one's better? Well, that's a whole truckload of data there that you're going to have to try to look at. It doesn't matter that the first one is 62 and the first one in Team B is 37. You're not going to be able to tell which team is better based on that alone, because Team A might have compensated for it and scored lower later on than Team B. So it's not just a simple comparison of the numbers in line with each other. You want a sense of the team as a whole. So this is too much data to look at all at once to decide who's better. The only way that you're going to be able to compare them, at least now, is to summarize the datasets with one measure of center, and that will definitely give us a nice comparison. So, what I've done, hopefully you've watched that video on how to use your graphics calculator to find variables, okay? To find these statistics. I'm going to find these measures of center, the mode, the mean, and the median, to show you an example of why we find these measures of central tendency so that you can make conclusions. So I've put this data into the calculator list, and I've found Team A, and I've put them in order, and it looks like the mode 63 happened twice, 74 happened twice, 76 happened twice, 82, there's multimodal, there's not really any particular mode, so there's no real mode for Team A, none for Team A. I'm going to quickly sort Team B as well, see if they've got a mode. $38 happened twice, 50 happened twice. Yeah, so both are multimodal. Both multimodal, so it won't be useful. And really, if you think about it, what's the use going to be of what's the most common score that the team scores? It's not going to give you a sense of whether one scores higher in general than the other. Yeah. However, we can find the means. So go calc, 1var stats, list 1, calculate. So x bar, the mean is 67.06 for Team A. X bar is for the second team. Select list 2, calculate. X bar is 53.65, 2 decimal places. So already you get a sense of who has the higher mean and which team might be better. Let's just double check the median of both. So if I scroll down, a noisy class next door, median of 52 for Team B. That was Team B. And we need to check the median of Team A. So just set this list to list 1. Scroll into the median, 69 for Team A. and 52 for team B. So now, instead of looking at a whole giant set of data here and not being able to compare them off really well, we have summarized both of those data sets in one number, a measure of center. And now we can definitively say mean and median of team A are higher, so team A generally scores higher. So hopefully you can see from that the purpose of finding measures of central tendency, finding the average, the mode, or the median, is all about summarizing a whole set of data in one so it can be useful, so you can make comparisons with other sets of data. Alright, this next part is pretty easy. There's no maths required here. This part is just about choosing the appropriate measure of center. So I could have just set you to read this really from the book. So obviously there's three different kinds of measures of center, and so they're all going to have their own particular usage scenarios and different strengths and weaknesses. You have to think about those things when you're choosing them for your data set, and you also have to think about them for answering particular questions, okay? So, the mode. What's the purpose of the mode? It gives you the most commonly occurring data value. This is going to have really limited usage scenarios, really, so get that out of the way. What's a weakness of it? It's only going to involve the most common data values in the set. Because straight away, when you're talking about mode, you're looking at which ones happen most commonly, which ones happen multiple times, and then you're just going to choose the one that happens most often. And so the problem with that is it ignores all the other data that doesn't happen commonly. What's a strength of the mode? It's unaffected by extreme data values like outliers, okay? Because all you're looking at is the most commonly occurring bit of data. The mean, on the other hand, is another measure of center. What's its purpose? It gives the mathematical center of the data set. What's a weakness of it? It is affected by extreme values such as outliers. What's a strength? The calculation involves all of the data values, so all are taken into consideration. It's commonly used and is well understood, and so really this should be your go-to measure of center the majority of the time. And why? Because the mean is considered to be sensitive to the data. It's sensitive to the data because it involves all of the data values. Now the last measure of center, the median. What's its purpose? It tells you the halfway point or the positional center of the data, not the mathematical center of the data. What's the weakness? It only involves that middle bit of data. Everything else is ignored. Everything else is just there to tell you of the position of it, but you ignore it. None of the other data values are involved in the mathematics of finding the median. And what is the strength of the median? It is not affected by extreme values. So the mean is affected by extreme values. The median is not affected by extreme values such as outliers. So really, you're going to be choosing between the mean and the median, and you're only going to choose the median because it can sometimes be used for data sets where outliers exist. And we've already talked about how you can discard outliers. You can only discard outliers when you know that they're the result of an experimental mistake or some sort of error. If you can't ignore the outliers, then the median might have to be considered as a measure of center in that case. So hopefully that helps you out. Sorry about the noisy class. And I'll see you on the next video.